I'm one of them. And being a rebel is not good because you will be left out. But yet I like to make a point because there are audience who need to be told what is there. Great research in top class journals, great business models. They talk about inculcating critical thinking. They forget youth who want to be self-employed or start an innovation-driven entrepreneurship is motivating enough but not realistic because the mental development or the experience of youth cannot comprehend these big models. Neither they have the wherewithal nor the resources nor the ecosystem to use those models. But yet we talk very highly of those models and those intellectual contribution, but hardly they contribute to the economy at the grassroots level. What youth need is simple thinking to earn a reasonable profit from a small business and scale as they earn, learn, and later on when they have something on that they can innovate. There has been a feeling that all over the world you should start a business only if you have a new idea. It is a fallacy. It is not the right way to encourage entrepreneurship. You should encourage entrepreneurship however small, and innovation can come in process, production, any area, any functional area, or even servicing the customer as one of our panelists mentioned. So we have to look at from that angle, not from that. The combined word innovation and entrepreneurship, we should tear it apart because entrepreneurship is sustainable. Innovation need a different ecosystem. The third world countries don't have that investment in higher education, the infrastructure building, and the support system for innovation, like America having the cluster, the rivalry, and all those kind of things. But the third world is likely to imitate or emulate those Jack Ma's and others without the ecosystem. So innovation is going to fall apart. We are burdening the youth that they have to think critically, they have to come out something with new, and then go ahead and start a business. It is something a utopian thought. I don't agree. I call on youth to think locally, not critically, because start something for a living, that is entrepreneurship. The willingness to start will be taking you somewhere else. Thank you all for patient hearing, and to the organizers for the opportunity, and also to my esteemed panelists. And I had to wind up very fast because I said promise that I'll not take more than 3 minutes, but I exceeded. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am, and thanks to all the participants.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharif. That was inciting and insightful at the same time, like our conversations always are. I would quickly now move on to opening the panel for if you would like to comment on each other's propositions, or if you have a question to any of the other panelists. In the meantime, if you have, I would request the attendees, if you have any questions, you could put that on the Q&A box, and we would take it up with the panelists once they've finished their discussions amongst themselves. I open it up to the panelists on whether you'd like to, if there are any comments on your co-panelists or any questions of them. Is
Sangeeta, can I just say a word?
Sure, please.
Yeah, there is a question by Dean Harold Patrick saying that what is the psychological shift required for an inside-out response to address issues raised in this forum? I think the biggest psychological change that we need to have is the construct of agency, that nobody else is going to do it for us. We need to do it for ourselves, right? So each individual, each of us need to take whatever action that needs to be done in order to make that change possible. So if it means starting a venture instead of picking up a job, that's how it is. Unlike in the past, it is possible, because one of the biggest things that I see in B schools mostly is the panic around job placements. And that I need to think should go, because other than B schools in India, everywhere else, all of us found jobs not because of campus interviews, right? And you do what you want to do and you'll find a job. So I don't think your job is not the reason why you should get into a school. Job is not the reason why you should be taking coursework. You do what you want to do in terms of building yourself as an individual. Students are on this early stage career are on this. So you do whatever you want to do, whatever you think is right, and then there will always be a job for you in the ecosystem. There's a place for everyone. So don't really think that it is somebody else's job to make this change. And second, job is also not a job as an employment that I should go as an employee, right? There are so many possibilities for us to be active in this economic space. And campus interviews and evaluating business schools based on campus interviews, I think is a very wrong metric to use. And I think at Bangalore, we have stopped giving out salaries long time ago, but still journalists still come and say, like, where do your students go to? We really don't want to give that information out, as in they do whatever they want to do. As in, if you join large schools and still don't have the agency to do what you want, then we're really failing as educators. Right? So that's my really slightly long comment to Dean Patrick's.
So I agree totally with Dr. Suresh. He has touched upon a very sensitive subject of placement, because we just had the other day a meeting at JBIMS also where we were lashing out at the placement team, and we were just telling them that we are not a placement agency. We are an academic institution first. And this whole thing actually comes through a lot of insecurity. The insecurity comes from greed. And that's why I posted over there that the basic mindset that we need to change is that we should shift from the greed to the need. And if we do that, they say there is enough for everyone on the planet. Money is a very good servant, but a very bad master. And that is what I think we all need to always be mindful of. If we do that, all of us have enough to eat, drink, survive. Today in this pandemic, when we are sitting at home, apart from just catering to our basic needs, what are we doing? I spoke during my talk also that, all of those clothes and flashy accessories and the cars, and they all have lost meaning. Actually, the nature is trying to teach us that very thing. That understand that all that you need to do is to cater to your needs, and you can still do your job very well, because the way the Zoom meetings are going on, in fact, it is much more easier to have an international panel discussion during the corona pandemic than it was earlier. How many unnecessary costs we were adding, all those transportation costs, airline costs, all those unnecessary costs, and then we want again carbon credits for that. First we want to pollute, and then if we decide we will not pollute it, then we are demanding the carbon credits for it. So as long as we continue evaluating everything in monetary terms, this insecurity is not going to go, because if money is everything, then any amount of money is less. And therefore, if this understanding comes in, I think things will fall in place, and that is our responsibility as teachers and parents, and maybe someone who had a long history to tell the new generation is what I think. Thank you so much.
I would just like to add a couple of points. So to Harold's question about psychological shift, right? I think this entire discussion, the seminar is telling us something, which is saying be open to change. I think that's the psychological shift that we need to do. Whether the changes our mindset from moving from greed to need, Chaya ma'am really said that's a very cool acronym. I'm going to use it more often. Or it's about a good point that a professor said about drawing this parallel to placements, right? The challenge is, some of us, when we pay fees and we get into a college, we develop a sense of entitlement. Like, it's not my job to do something, the college has to place me. Look at corporates, always look at corporates like real life, corporate life, they all imitate each other. Anyone who has a sense of entitlement, you tend to become complacent, and that's when you die. Look at, take a simple, everyone had a TikTok account, right? I'm just talking about like the youth of today. Suddenly government changed, mindset changed, they said just ban it. Businesses that depended on it are affected. So you just need to be open to change. I think, and another one, I love the assured model. I must say that was fantastic. I've always believed that any one of these business models, whether it is, the Stephen Covey's principles or even this assured model of innovation, I think it should be on the curriculum of most colleges, is apply it to yourself. How are you innovating? like, I read a very interesting meme that someone forwarded on WhatsApp. Like, amongst all the nonsense that comes, this one I've saved it and in my folder, that said, if you come out of this pandemic without a new skill, you have failed yourself. Like, whether it is like my 70-year-old mother-in-law is started some YouTube classes, or it is the people that Dr. Rose spoke about making face masks. If you've not come out with a new skill, if you're just doing your BAU, if you're attending online school classrooms, or you're doing, like, playing with your friends or watching Netflix, what have you done? There's an opportunity that a lot of time has been given to you, time that you would have been traveling, time that you would have been wasting doing something else. What have you done? So the short model questions every one of those alphabets. If you apply it even to a personal professional career, I'm sure it has a lot of applicability.
I think in some sense you've just...
May I just one line, Sangeeta, may I just say one line? Thank you,
sure.
Valroy. We were very fortunate that in Bombay Management Association, we got mentored, by Dr. Mashelkar himself on assured matrix model. And he talked about 2 more concepts. I'm just throwing them quickly. No need to discuss them because everyone will understand what he said. One tagline: more in less for more. More in less for more. As long as the businesses learn to produce more in less for more, we will always be prosperous. And the second concept he talks about, Gandhian engineering. You look at all these Padma awardees. They are all Gandhian engineers who do more in less for more. Thank you.
Super, ma'am. And I think in some sense, we've kind of answered one question that's come about horizontal scaling of skills. We just quickly, since we started speaking about having agency and taking control, and maybe just we touched upon B schools should not be looked at as placement agencies. We have a question here saying, how do we manage the perception and student aspirations if we do this? So where do we get, so we have all these ambitions of developing entrepreneurs, but you also have the society which has built these perceptions and aspirations for years before they come for a post-graduation course like MBA. So any comments quickly from one of the, either Professor Suresh or Professor Beth, on society and what we've done with regards to perceptions and aspirations of students before they come to a post-graduation degree like ours?
Go ahead, Beth. Whatever. You have understanding of business schools both in India and abroad, so maybe you should take a shot at it, and then I'll just add my comments later.
Yes, you can correct me. Yeah, I think the placement thing is a huge deal in India. Much more so, it's interesting. It varies. In the U.S., placement is quite a big deal, and part of it is that this is traditionally how business, a large part of how business schools are rated and ranked, and that's a very big deal. And it was interesting because my first position was at University of Southern California, and a fair number of our MBA graduates went on to become entrepreneurs, which meant that our salary, our graduating salary numbers didn't look as good as competitive schools, and or schools, a certain school across Los Angeles that, like UCLA, that was very much an aspiration, and that people worried about that. And to its credit, USC decided that, look, we can live with that. It's okay. You go to Finland, it's not nearly as systematic in terms of students finding jobs. In the UK, it seems like students find their own jobs, at least at where I am. So it's quite different. In New Zealand, the career services at the universities are not terribly active. But I think in India, it's going to be a harder mind shift to undertake because it's so embedded. One thing I like to tell students, and I from my experience, it's very true, a whole lot more say in what happens as an entrepreneur or working in a small firm, even if the money's not as much, you can have a much bigger impact. I grew up in the context of a family firm. I had a much bigger impact on how that firm operated when I was 16 than I was ever going to have at Ford Motor Company. And so for students who are interested in that, that's something to try and sell. But I think it's in India, it's going to be a big change. Suresh.
I think it goes back to what Dean Harold had spoken about, the psychological shift
I guess
as a society.
Yeah, true. I think it's not the students. A lot of them tell that it's not them. They don't have the choice of what to do, as in the parents have already decided for them. They're into their 20s and still place significant importance to their parents' decision. So one of the things that we had one startup in NSR Cell. So when he was doing his MBA here, so he joined NSR Cell, had his startup, doing very well, winning awards. So his father called up just before placements and saying that, so he said, what is so? No, what is happening regarding placement? Who are coming? What interviews are you giving? He said, I dropped out of placement. He said, what do you mean you dropped out of the placement? He said, I'm starting my own venture. He said, what do I do? Look, you are from this small little place in Orissa. You are the first one to have gone to this big schools. All of us were waiting to hear which big company you're going to join, what big fat package that you're going to get. What will I tell my friends? So this guy thought for a while and he said, look, here's the deal. You want me to join a large company so that you go tell your friends all about it? You are happy, I will be unhappy. If I go start my own venture, I will be happy, but you will be unhappy. He said, thinking very closely, I think it's better I am happy and you be unhappy. So I'm going to start my own venture. Right? So he started his venture. Venture didn't do well. For years, he was living in his wife was working in a government job. So he had 1-bedroom apartment. So he was there. Friends were all flying business class. And then his venture started to take off. He has done very, very well subsequently. He's raised hundreds of millions of dollars and doing interesting work, right? So we need more such people. We need more such conversations in schools, wherein people come and say, boss, I just don't want to do what all of you guys are doing. And we now have stories. We now have a lot of stories to tell these kids that, look, they come back and say there's no way in which they would have learned whatever they did. As in for years, he just bought a small car now, but for a long period of time, he still won his two-wheeler. He said, it doesn't fascinate me. What I'm doing is so much more interesting than what you guys can even imagine doing 25 years from now, right? But that will take shift. But are there stories there? Yes. A couple of years ago, we had another gold medalist who said, I don't want to, right? We have Kavita. So we have multiple stories of B school grads who are saying that, look, we don't want these crores and crores of salary. We just want to do whatever we want to. And there was this a graduate from IIM Ahmedabad who says, she started Sugar, Vinita Singh. She says that, look, it's been more than 10 years since I turned down 1 crore salary in order to start my own venture. Journalists still ask me, do you think that was a wise decision? Right now, I have a very large venture doing very well, feeling extremely happy that whatever I'm doing. But the only question that they have is that you left that job on campus, which was going to pay you ridiculously large amount of salary, right? So I think our narratives in popular media will have to change. The narratives in parents will have to change. I think students are far more, and they're scared, like 20 lakh loan. Like honestly, 20 lakh loan is not very large because coming out of IIM, they get it back in 4 years time or 3 years time. But it's really large, not a large loan that you can't pay back at the current salaries. If you're doing interesting work, people will take you in, and that's the character building that you're going to have. As Beth said, like when you are on your venture, you do everything yourself. like somebody can't, it's like you are the office help, you are the CEO, you are everybody, right? You don't have anybody to go complain saying that, you know what, coffee at our office sucks. But yeah, but that's all you can afford. You can't get you can get a very expensive coffee machine, right? So it builds character, and I think that really is a valuable trait that world is going to recognize. So it's changing very slowly. We are now trying to introduce a lot of entrepreneurial cases in our courses now. So we're trying to build those cases so that they start to enter the narrative of people talking. It's a slow change, but it's happening.
Thank you so much. So,
Sangeeta, may I add something to this?
sure, ma'am. Sure,
So
ma'am.
we have no time. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so there was this another panel discussion happening somewhere where I was a part of it, and they were talking about, you know, for the graduating management students, you know, what is the advice? So we had people from TCS and, you know, the many CEOs also over there, and they all came out and they said that, you know, we need today people to be less competitive, more collaborative, less compartmentalized in terms of their specializations, as in everybody should be able to do everything. So it takes us back to an education system of ours, which was developed for us to become a service class. This is where it comes from. Because we were developed to be a service class. Service, therefore, is, and services in our religious scriptures is also, service is really glorified. But there is a very big dichotomy here that although we glorify the service, when it comes to our job, we are extremely status conscious and there is no dignity of job. We keep giving the examples of Sundar Pichais of the world, that they are the Indians and they have become, you know, so successful, and they were the entrepreneurs and they're now running the huge corporations. But we forget to see that the people like Sundar Pichai, when they migrated to US, they were cleaning their own toilets and cooking their own food. Those stories we don't talk. We only talk about how successful they have become. Of course, there is a problem of system. Policy-based issue is also there here. To start an enterprise and to be successful is very, very difficult compared to the, developed world. It is very, very difficult. UK, for example, it promotes entrepreneurship in a great way. We don't have that as yet. So the root cause lies over there. So what has happened is, over the years, the generations have grown into believing that, you know, they should be in a service, but they should have a guaranteed job. They should have a guaranteed. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. My father was in service. Okay, he was teaching in the college. But we had a different upbringing, that you have to do everything of your own by yourself. If you like to eat good food, learn to cook. If you want to wear ironed clothes, learn to wash and iron them. So we ended up doing everything. And somewhere I think that upbringing helped me in getting into entrepreneurship, where I was, from the day one, I was of a mindset that I have to do everything for myself. This is the mindset. If we cultivate, then people will respect the dignity of labor. They will take pride in doing their own thing, which is very important. And that will then, you know, take away the insecurity of not having a secure job. Because the day you realize that I can create my own bread to put on my table every day, then I'm not worried and I'm not insecure. And when I'm not insecure, and when I'm proud of doing everything that I require for myself, I can do anything that I want.
Great.
I don't have to depend on the system. I don't have to depend on it. This is the thinking that we need to inculcate. New education policy, this new government's thrust on entrepreneurship, it will change things slowly. But the thinking of 200, 300 years, it takes long to change. Why people from here, when they go in the advanced world, you know, they do so well? Because they are being used to actually, you know, roughing it out. These competitive exams, you know, just understand every management graduate, when he's coming on board.
Chaya ma'am, I'm sorry, I'll have to interject here.
Okay, fine. That's why I first asked you, because this topic is never ending.
Yes, I kind of get it. It's been we promised an exciting 1 hour, and it's been, I think, a little more than exciting. It's been electrifying. Thank you so much, all of you. I think we've picked up a lot of food for thought in terms of innovation from the perspective of, circular economy, from how to be agile, how to be adaptable, how internationally the trade wars and the whole geopolitics, how it plays out. We've looked at how maybe innovation requires something as simple as what we've discussed in the last 5 minutes of our panel discussion here, is probably it requires an entire mindset change, starting with just the way we look at our education, and just the way we measure success and measure an economic growth, etc. So a lot of innovation and sustainability would probably come with the mindset change. And with that, I would really like to conclude our discussion. It's been a fantastic discussion. I'm sure I have enjoyed this as the moderator, and I'm absolutely sure that our attendees have also done the same. Thank you so much, all of you, for accepting our invitation, for engaging with us, for spending your valuable time here and giving us so much food for thought. Thank you, all the panelists. Thank you, organizers. Thank you, Harold. Thank you all. Over to you, Dr. Rajay.
Namaste again. And it was a wonderful discussion. And thank you, panel members. Thank you, moderator. Panel member, thank you for sharing your knowledge, experience, your case studies, your research, your examples. And it was highly enlightening, very well discussed, even debated and concluded well. Thank you very much. Thank you to Professor Suresh Bhagwatullah. Thank you, Dr. Eve. Thank you, Ms. Chaya Sehgal. Thank you, Mr. Velroy. Thank you, Professor Elizabeth Rose. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed Sharif. And lastly, thank you, Dr. Sangeeta, for moderating session wonderfully and igniting that healthy discussion there, and very well concluding. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.